And here we are, where theater lives, your local theateRNY.com weekly podcast interview edition. This is episode number 4, an interview with actor-singer Josephine Sanchez and a very special surprise guest. This is the show that shares what's hot, who's hot, what's playing, what's opening, and what you can't miss in the local theater scene in the New York tri-state area. Today's episode is sponsored by Theater Marketing Insights, marketing tips, and more for the theater arts marketer. Find and like us on Facebook. And by Manhattan Rep Theater in the heart of Times Square. Visit www.manhattanrep.com. And now your host, that would be me. Hey folks, Roger Gonzalez here with Local Theater NY. I'm excited today. I'm excited because I have an old friend who is returning to the cabaret scene, and then I have a master of the cabaret scene who is going to be a surprise for the next few minutes. Let me not tell you who she is just yet. Let me start by introducing Josephine Sanchez, who I've worked with in the past. She has a phenomenal, beautiful voice. All of a sudden, she's back in the cabaret scene. So welcome, Josephine.
Hi, Roger. How are you?
I'm excellent, and I'm happy that you're back in the scene and that you're singing. And tell me just a little bit about that experience going back to Don't Tell Mama, I think it was, right?
Yes, we're going to be doing a show at Don't Tell Mamas at the end of April 19th, 26th, and 28th, and I'm really excited about that. It's actually my second run. We did a show a couple of months ago at the Metropolitan Room, and we were very successful with that, so we thought we'd try it again. And it's been just an exciting ride.
Well, I'm excited to see you back. And I remember you when we worked on Funny Girl. You were Fanny Bryce. You were just absolutely incredible. Everyone talked about it. We had full houses. How does it feel to come back into the cabaret scene? How does it feel to be working these rooms? And
well, I have to say, it's not something I'm really coming back to, but really starting to do for the first time. I, used to do community theater and regional theater, but all these years I've been doing church work. So it's not that I have stopped singing. I've been singing for many years now on a regular basis, but to get into the cabaret scene was a whole new scene for me, and a little scary at first, but it's been so exciting. It really has.
Now, what kind of songs do you bring to your performance? What's your show about? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, some things from the American Songbook, some specialty arrangements that a good friend of mine and my accompanist, John Cook, has put together for me. Some jazz-inflected arrangements, which is, again, something new for me, and something I'm having a lot of fun doing.
Now, in our conversation, you mentioned that you were taking a master class. And then you mentioned the master, and so I'm very happy to introduce her. Marilyn May, while a phenomenal, solid, incredible career, I find it so intriguing when your information, your bio says you've been on Johnny Carson 76 times. Oh, wow, that's incredible. But your career is not just that. I mean, we're talking about a singer, praise singer, director, actress, arranger, educator. And the reason that you ended up, meeting Josephine is because of this wonderful masterclass that you teach. And so without further ado, I'd love to introduce Marilyn May, and welcome.
Welcome. I'm so thrilled to have had her in the masterclass. Last Saturday, I think it was.
Yes, it was Saturday.
And we had, we usually have 12 people. We do a 5-hour master class, and the 12 people, they all get 20, 25 minutes. There are singers from, a lot of professional singers, a lot of people who it's just their hobby. I would say some people play golf, some people play bridge, some people want to sing, and that's a happiness kind of thing. It's a joy because it's full of people who have the passion for this art. We just call it the art of performance. It's not really vocal lessons. It's the art of performing and communicating with the audience, because I hate the word cabaret, although I recorded the song before anybody did. It was a hit record for me, as a matter of fact. Cabaret, the song, but I'm from the old school of nightclubs. I think they're nightclubs, and the audience. I believe in communication between the artist and the audience, and I don't sing to them. I sing for them. And so that's what we try to give in the art of performance in these master classes. And the joy is you're there with other people who want to do the same thing, and they're sympathetic. They're a very, very sympathetic audience. So it's 5 hours of great information, because you not only glean from what we say to you, but from the other people who are working, and you'll watch the criticisms or the support of what they do, and I don't really criticize. I kind of help. So
bring them along. You just mentioned that you cover a lot of things. So why don't you, for the sake of our viewers and listeners and readers, tell us some of the things that you cover in your class. What makes a great performer, and how do you help that performer come along?
Well, you can say it in one word: communication. It's all about the lyric and about the story and about the communication with the audience. And the joy is that you get them thinking in a different way. It's not about them. I always say the audience is the star. You're not the star. The audience is the star. And you work, as I say, you work for them, not to them. And there are lots of people that are self-serving artists, and I believe in serving the audience. So, nothing is wrong. I always say I teach whatever I believe, right or wrong, but it's just my beliefs. And I've had 70 years of experimenting with this kind of, because I've been on stage since I was 7 years old, and it's just a wonderful way to make a living. It's nice to be able to do something that you love and have a passion for, and be able to pay your rent with it.
That's true, and it is incredible, and being able to love what you do is a big part of the success story. And you've had a very long and successful career. Give us a hint, if you will, or sort of a peek into where it's been in terms of the scene, in terms of nightclubs and singing. I imagine that a lot of your performances are very organic, meaning, you feel the audience out and you get a sense of what they want and that sort of thing. How does that kind of work? And
you do have to know your audience, and you do have to know, or at least have an idea of the age group. The good news is these days we have an awful lot of young people in our audience. In the old days, it was nightclubs and theaters. As time went on, when the businessman's account, we were working in beautiful hotels with wonderful rooms with big bands, and we worked the Copacabana in New York, and the El Morocco, and the Living Room, and all those wonderful nightclubs that were here in New York. And as time went on, the businessman's account stopped, and more clubs started closing. So that's when I went to theater, and I've done Dolly and Mame and Stephen Sondheim's Follies and lots of those kinds of things, because it seemed that the business, as far as the nightclub business, now about 10 years ago, places like the Metropolitan Room in New York opened, and I came in, and we were very successful with our first engagement there. There are theater. I've worked Town Hall a lot here in New York, and from Metropolitan came the Iridium. We do jazz gigs we just finished with Bucky Pizzarelli. We did several nights with Bucky at the Iridium. I've been at 54 Below. This will be, I think, my 6th engagement there, and we do runs. I don't do just one night. I like to do runs, of 5 or 8 nights. And we did Feinstein's, which was a wonderful room in Lowe's Regency. We were there 5 times. The last time I was there was actually with Michael for a 3-week engagement. And then there again, the hotel closed, and they remodeled, and they decided not to have a cabaret. So now we're thrilled that 54 Below is opened. We're always thrilled about Don't Tell Mamas, because it's been there, I think, for probably 30 years, and surviving very well and drawing big crowds. the Metropolitan Room too. We pack that in. We do it. We did our 4th New Year's Eve there. And we were there for 9 days afterward. We do a show called By Request, and people call in and request, and then it necessitates creating a new show every night because they request different songs. Then we have to line them up properly so that the show has a flow. And but it's been a joy. And now other entertainers are coming to us, to me, to direct their shows, and I've had some experience doing that. As I say, 70 years of it. So it's a joy to be able to work with these wonderful, talented young performers.
Yeah, there definitely has been an evolution of spaces coming and going over the years. And would you say that the type of space that you work in also determines the type of show that you do? Is that something that goes into consideration, or is the show you and the communication and the people pretty much no matter where?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter where you work. You line up your show that's right for you, something that's really right for you. You have to be true to yourself as far as material is concerned, and not branch out into something that you don't know. I mean, and these clubs are all basically, there's a sound system, there's a light system, and you work with the sound and light people, and you bring your musicians and pray for an audience.
Yeah, well, praying for an audience is a big part of this industry, and making sure that they come through that door. Josephine, how did you come across the idea of taking a master class with Marilyn?
Well, talk about praying for an audience. Because I work for the church.
I thought about that.
Thank you, Marilyn, for that segue. I do have a lot of people that I have encountered along the way, and so when I decided to do my first show, I really did have a kind of a following of church-going people, but also a lot of church musicians who I found were really inspired by the fact that I was doing this something different, doing a show in the city and at a room like the Metropolitan Room. They were really impressed by that, and they came out in droves. I was really so happy that we filled the room the first time, and then added a second show and almost filled the room. I had over 85 people at the second show. So
and the room seats 110.
Yeah,
so that you need to say that
I can say
it's not a 400-seat room.
No, it's not a 400-seat room, exactly. But
so 85 is a good.
It was a very good number. We were very, very pleased, and so we thought we'd try Don't Tell Mama. Actually, Metropolitan Room was booked up for this time of the year, April and May. So we said, let's try another venue, and Don't Tell Mamas is one of the best that there is. So.
Well, the manager is in the business.
Yes.
He is a singer and a performer, and understands what we entertainers need. So his name is Sidney Meyer, and he's a fabulous entrepreneur for us, and loves doing what he does, and especially loves what we do. So.
And so I found Marilyn. I mean, once you do a show there, or even go to see a show there, you're on a mailing list, and something came in the email saying that Marilyn May was going to do a master class, and I thought, what a great opportunity. There were slots. It was a second one. I think you had sold out of the first one, and you added a second master class, and so I got in on that one. And after that, I said, well, I think I'd really like to do a private session. And you're only in town for this week, so I managed to do a lot this week.
Well, she's a wonderful singer, and I was thrilled to have her. It's fun when they have a leg up. And I'm working with people that are just beginning, and I'm working with people that are very experienced. And then when you she's got a great range, and it was a ball to work with her. And I said, I want to, talking about drawing an audience. That's why I say it's about the audience. If you make them happy, if you communicate with them, and you know that they are having a good time, it's not about you and your song. It's about them and knowing what they want to hear, and during your performance, that kind of communication with them is what brings them back.
Let's talk for a second about the type of work that you do. I mean, you communicate with the audience, and I'm certain, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that you communicate with your students. What do you look for?
We hope so.
We hope so, right?
She does.
We hope so.
Absolutely.
So do you treat each student slightly differently from others, or do you approach, do you have a sort of a curriculum that you work with, or
No,
certain levels? What do you look for?
We work with what their capabilities are, and what they're good at, what they do. I have a man that it's his hobby, and he loves to sing. And I have one that they choose their own material. I don't presume to choose their material, because it has to be something they're comfortable with. Although I do tweak it, I do want to tweak it, what I think works for an audience and what won't work for an audience. There again, it's about what the audience wants to hear, and so we. You go with their capabilities and what you think is good for them. It's all an individual kind of thing. So there's no formula.
Now, do you teach this master class mostly in New York, or because you travel a lot too? Mm-hmm. So do you take the class? We
work in Florida. I have one coming up in June in Florida. I have one coming up in L.A. and in there again the latter part of June, because I'm doing the Pasadena Symphony, kind of where I go. We've got an engagement with the Pasadena Symphony, so we'll hold a master class while we're there. Florida, I work almost every year, and so we have people that come every year. I'm going to St. Louis for a whole 10-day master class session there, which I've done the last 3 years in St. Louis. So it's in Kansas City. I'm all over wherever we do an engagement, then we try to gather some singers, and usually singers are in my audience, and so they know about the master classes, and it's lovely for them to say, "Are you going to hold one?" And yes, indeed,
So you're holding quite a few of these classes across the country. We do get an international audience. Any chance that the folks in Europe or Latin America or something? No, okay.
We were just there in October. I just did London in October for a week, and it's just too hard to stay there. It's not lucrative enough to spend time in London. It's very expensive to spend time in London, and it's not financially feasible to stay there and hold a master class, unless it would be, the organization of it would be important.
I'm fascinated by some of the stars, the historical figures in the entertainment industry and business that you've come across. Steve Allen, Johnny Carson, and many, many more. Any stories you want to share about some of those folks that you've met?
Steve is the Renaissance man. He does everything. He plays piano. He writes music. He's written over 8,000 songs, because he dedicated himself to writing one song a day, and some of them were great, and some of them were okay. He's great. He wrote books. He was the funniest comedian. He just did everything, and it was a joy. I worked a great deal with Steve in the days. He's the one that first brought me to television, and from that came RCA, and we've got 8 albums on RCA, and Steve was fabulous. Steve loved talent and was not afraid to push talent, and was very generous in that. Johnny too. Johnny Carson was he loves talent and wanted you there. The 76 times is a record for a singer. There are comedians that have done it more than that, but we hold the singer's record. And Johnny loved musicians. He loved Buddy Rich because he wanted to play drums, sure. And he loved to sing. He played guitar and accompanied himself on a couple of songs. And he was shyer than Steve. I knew really, really well. Johnny I didn't know but Johnny I knew on the camera. When we were both on camera.
I'm curious, because going back to the theme of communicating with your audience, and you've done television, and you've done stage shows, and
well, Mike Douglas. I've done Mike, and I did Ed Sullivan, and we did those other people that had talk shows in those days. Unfortunately, we don't have those kind of talk shows. Also, when there is a talk show, the band is different, the instrumentation is different. See, we had the wonderful Doc Severinsen big band. I started started with Skitch Henderson. And Skitch and I did a lot of symphony concerts together, but Skitch was the conductor on the Carson Show with that wonderful big band that had 4 saxes, 3 trumpet, and 3 trombone, guitar.
Wow.
So now the instrumentation on the talk shows are very different and not in my bag particularly. But Mike Douglas was a singer, he loved and had a show for years, and I did his show probably as much as I did Carson, because it was close to New York. When I would play New York, I'd go over to Philadelphia and do his show. And Ed Sullivan I only did a couple of times. There was a great show called Hollywood Palace, and had a big band, and it was and lots of stars. I did it with Bing Crosby, and I did it with Donald O'Connor, and we don't have those kind of shows anymore. So that's why we're so thrilled to have the clubs here in New York and whatever clubs are around the country, and we're thrilled to be doing theaters and that kind of thing, because the business has come down from those wonderful venues.
What do you see as something that's hot and happening in the nightclub scene today? In the last couple of years, any trends or anything like that you're seeing happening that really are catching your eye?
I don't know how to answer that.
Okay. Any particular talent that you've seen out there that's caught your eye?
When I work, I don't get to see any people, very many people, So usually when I'm in New York, I'm working. We start teaching, we start coaching, and I start at 11 o'clock and work till 7 or 8, and that's when all the shows are going on. I have a lot of wonderful friends that are entertainers, but I don't always get to catch their shows, So it's I'm kind of in my little studio when I'm here, or else I'm doing it myself.
How many shows do you do a year? How much traveling do you do?
I don't add it up, but now I'm going. I leave here in the middle of March, and I go to Indiana. There's a theater in Indiana that we're doing in Carmel it's with Michael Feinstein. He'll do the first half of the show, and I'll do the second half. Then in April 2nd and 3rd and 4th, we go to Palm Springs, and we'll be there for a lovely engagement. Then the middle of April, we're going to 54 Below here in New York, and we'll be there. We open on the 17th, and we're there for 8 days. It's too sporadic. I can't tell you the exact, but it's 8 days, and I'm doing a show called Marilyn May Her Way, a tribute to Sinatra. And it's all the Frank Sinatra material.
Oh, I love
Which,
Frank.
of course, is all the songs we sing anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
The American Songbook.
Well, I'll make sure before I close this episode, I'll make sure that I'll get the dates and I'll get the details, and I'll make sure that we talk about your show. It's so
sporadic. They have got me all. I love to do a run, consecutive nights. That's what I prefer, and I think that's what works. And I don't know that the clubs these days, they have a different concept. So, but I love doing. In the old days, we did 2-week runs, and we worked 5 nights a week, and did it night after night after night, and it drew the audience. But by the same token, when there's a few days in between, word of mouth can get around and draw the audience. So I don't know what's right. None of us know.
There's no real secret formula.
There's no formula.
There's just the one formula, I guess, is just be good at what you do and enjoy it and move forward, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Josephine, so you're hearing all this. I mean, are we looking at 40 years of you singing?
I hope so. I mean, I do this at this point in my life for the joy of it. I mean, for the pure joy of it. I have kids in college now, and I do. And my daughter's a performing arts major, a vocal performance major, and for a while, you put everything into your kids, and you figure, well, you're preparing for their future and helping them prepare for their future. But
now it's time for mommy.
At some point, I said to my good friend, I said, my daughter Joanna, she's sort of my do-over, because, and he just shook his head and said, oh, no. You're going to have your own do-over. There's, life is not over just because your kids are grown. No. So, this is sort of a new beginning for me.
I'm very, very old, and I'm still doing what I do. So, I'm celebrating a big birthday in April, and I don't think there's any age limit to this.
No. It's really exciting. I mean,
As long as your voice is hanging in there and your
That's right.
and your energy, I think health and energy and voice hanging in there is the important things.
I mean, it was as simple as just going down to the clubs or going down to Don't Tell Mama in Metropolitan Room and asking, how can I book a room, you know? And of course they interview you and they ask if you have a following. And, you know, first time round I said, well, I think I have a following. Very confidently I went, yes, I have a following. It turned out that we did really get the people to come out. So moving forward, it's just, I love to record. Really, it started with doing a recording, and my good friend John Cook.
That's kind of backwards.
And yeah, I guess it is. I guess it is. I always wanted to be in the recording studio. I had opportunities to do that along the way with other people's projects. You know, they asked me to do, you know, to sing on their projects, and so I had some experience with that, and I love being in the recording studio. I just put a bed in the refrigerator, and I'm set. I could live there. But then we thought, well, why not have a CD launching party kind of thing, and that's what we did at Metropolitan Room.
I'm curious. I know it's you know, your first go around as far as you know, sitting in Marilyn's master class,
Yeah.
or probably standing and performing, I should say, right?
Yes,
rather than
Yes,
sitting.
that's right.
I don't believe in bar stools.
Absolutely not.
Only at the bar.
There you go.
I don't believe in people walking on stage and sitting down. I don't understand that. So, and everybody knows that about me. So I never sit down.
Yeah, and it should be a
When I work.
performance, right? I mean,
Well,
the
you
idea-
know, there's a lot of performers that walk on and sit down on a bar stool and love the intimacy of that. But I think you can create intimacy without sitting down. I like to stand up and work.
Well, I'm along those lines, along the work. What are you looking for? I mean, you know, it's new in this stage in your life. And what sort of things are you looking for? What sort of answers are you looking for? What sort of questions do you have?
Oh, well, I know that, you know, doing cabaret work is very, very different than the kind of work that I have been doing. Being a song leader in the Catholic Church, you kind of blend into the background and you're inviting people to sing with you. Cabaret is very, very different than that, and I'm struggling a little bit with being out front and center and performing, you know, the art of performing. I can sing a song, you know, pretty well, I hope, but all the how to stand, how, you know, stage presence, how to move your hands, that's the kind of thing that I'm really looking to improve upon.
Marilyn, that's obviously something that you work on.
The gestures, you
Yeah.
know, there's certain gestures, and the people that have taken dancing are always a little better at it than the people that haven't ever moved. I always tell everybody, I don't care if you don't want to be a dancer, but just take dancing lessons. Even if you're 50 years old, go take dancing lessons, because it'll just make you easier. You'll move easier, you know. And then there are people that are just naturally graceful, you know. And there are other people that they don't really need to move. She sings great, you don't need to move. Although I do love the pointing up of a lyric, but with a gesture. That's not a bad idea. And do big endings with arms out. Big endings.
With arms out, I love that.
I shattered my shoulder one time doing Hello Dolly, as a matter of fact.
Oh my gosh.
And the cast stepped on the hem of my costume, and and I went up and down and broke my shoulder. So the doctor said, "You'll never be able to raise your arm any higher than your waist is."
Oh no!
And I said, "No, no. I do big endings." So I said, no. So I put my arms up, of course, because I did a lot of therapy.
Wow, that's, you know, and
Physical therapy, not mental.
Okay. And I think of, you know, a lot of the great covers, the album covers with their arms up, and you know,
right.
it's that gesture that's kind of symbolic.
It's a big
of,
ending.
Yeah, the big ending, the Mama Rose, you know, it's that sort of thing. When we talk about Josephine, and just to kind of put her on the spot a little bit, she talks about the physicality, and she talks about, you know, how to perform it. And I'm thinking of that very novice question about how do you sell a song. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you, you're the master, someone comes up to you, how do you sell a song?
Oh, wow. There's not one answer to that. There's a lot of answers to that.
And that's why I think people should take your class,
Yeah.
if they're really interested.
Well, it's, I'm a great believer in understanding the lyric and phrasing, and you can sing great, but if you don't deliver it, I'm not sure that it comes across. So the singing great it's with Josephine. It's that's one leg up. You already got that. So the performance is I always hope that I can be helpful and pass on what I believe.
Well, on that note, we do get quite a few people who are looking to get into the arts. I get tons of emails from young people who want to sing.
Fabulous.
They want to be in a show. Where do I start? So I'm going to pose the question to you. A young person emails you or calls you and says, how do I get started? I want to be a performer in a nightclub and sing. What do
I
you
wish
tell
I
them?
had that formula. I wish I had the perfect answer for that. But the main thing is, I think, just every time you can perform, if it's for the assisted living homes and the nursing homes and the churches, the church parties, every time you can get up on stage and sing for an audience, do it.
Well, there you go, folks. Just do it. Josephine and then Marilyn, I'll ask you one more time about your shows. Tell us, Josephine, your show is when again?
Don't Tell Mamas, 2 Sundays, April 19th and 26th, 7 p.m., and then a Tuesday night, the 28th, also at 7 p.m.
And Marilyn, I know you told us you're back
You'll
in mid-April.
give them the dates.
I will give them the dates, so you're all set to go.
It's convoluted.
There was a question, or there was a discussion about a possibility of a song at the end of this podcast. Is that happening?
Well, that's up to Marilyn.
It's up to her. She's singing.
I could sing something, and I'm sure Marilyn could offer me some advice.
Well, let's do it then. Let's end this podcast on an upbeat with a wonderful note.
Okay, let me just get to it. Learning what to say to start a new romance, knowing at the outset every word's a chance. What you're yearning for is learning more about him from a distance, to unravel and then travel down the path of least resistance, trying to find the way to make the first advance. Is the secret shared or carried by your glance? Does he know that you're feeling this vague sense of reeling, or is he enjoying the power he commands? Is the message you're sending the one he's receiving? He's just not perceiving the fact that you're there. Is he staying aloof? One more token of proof that he's far too polite to say he doesn't care. So the time has come to implement the plan. Seize the moment, take the matter now in hand. Dispensing with the guidelines now, quit watching from the sidelines now. If it's to be, I'll somehow take a stand, and hope that when I do, we'll talk it through, how he's had a similar point of view, and we'll take the chance and start this new romance.
Wow.
You Beautiful, beautiful.
That was a song by my accompanist, my friend John Cook. And I'm so pleased to be able to perform his original material.
You wrote music and lyrics.
I did, yeah.
Well, there you have, folks. A phenomenal interview and a wonderful podcast and a beautiful song and a master of performing and acting. I thank you all, and
thank you.
More information.
Nice to see you, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Well, I promised Marilyn May that I would provide information and details about her upcoming show. It's called Her Way, A Salute to Frank Sinatra, and it's playing at 54 Below on April 17th through the 30th, and that would be this year, 2015. You can find all the details to the actual dates and the times of the shows at 54, that's 54below.com. So it's numerical 54below.com. And please go see Marilyn. You won't be disappointed. And that's it for today's podcast. If you like our show, please leave a comment on iTunes and let us know what you think. Also, don't forget to like us on Facebook and visit our site to sign up for our mailing list. Or email me directly at localtheateRny@gmail.com. Remember, that's theater, R-E, not E-R. Or call me at 646-285-3033. Signing off, here's to encores and standing ovations from Roger Gonzalez.